Welcome to the Success Agents Podcast, where we deliver weekly guests that bring insights to the elements of your business to become more profitable with skills and knowledge and tools. Help you with more automation so you have less procrastination with your host, JP Fluellen. What is going on, guys? It's JP Fluellen back with another episode of the Success Agent Podcast. And we're going to double intro it there. So that's awesome. But so we keep it raw here. We don't do any post editing. We do everything on the fly because that's the way we do life, right? There's no second chance.
You can buy the seat, but you'll only need the edge.
That's right. So last week we talked about year 2 in real estate and how I got started and started building that climate of scaling our business. And I figured that this week we're going to just kind of mix it up a little bit. So we've got a special guest, Jon Puls here. He is the Grand Poobah, the Gandalf of fundraising. This guy could teach you, more lessons than a piano teacher on how to raise money for various charities. So this guy should really write a book on how to market and getting names out there and getting people to show up for events. Because if you can master bringing events, you can master any kind of marketing. It doesn't matter what it is. I think the biggest challenge, especially in the real estate space, is getting people to show up, and getting your name out there, trying to master marketing and all these things. And so something, if you're not implementing in your business, especially in the real estate space, is how to start an event, get people to come to it, and give some things of value. So, Jon, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in event organizations, and and all these kind of things, and just kind of tell the people about who Jon is.
Well, kind of a funny story on how it all started. Of course, nothing starts, this one time, except for band camp.
Right.
So, anyway, basically, I just found a niche by accident. I was working with my kids' PTO club with the elementary school, and they wanted to do a fundraiser for the kids. And I went out, and I was just talking to some friends of mine that were business guys, local businesses that tend to donate and fundraise. And I thought, well, it's for a school, so it's got to be, worth donating to. It's for our kids, it's for education. So I talked to them, and before I knew it, we had this harebrained idea to do like a bingo poker run kind of thing for the kids. So we put together like this ice cream poker run. So it was called Cookies and Cream Run. And so I went to my friends and I said, we're going to do this. And I thought, well, I could put your logo on a T-shirt or something. I got some local friends that print T-shirts. And they were like, yeah, so a couple of them here, a couple of them there. Here's $100. Here's a couple $100. Next week, I go into this PTO meeting and the principal's standing there, and I reach into my pocket and I hand her an envelope. And she says, what's this? And I says, well, there's $500 cash in there, and that's for your funding for the PTO for the fundraiser. And you guys do an event, we'll call it the Cookies and Cream Run, and here's the money to start it and pay for the shirts and all that. And she says, well, this doesn't come out of your pocket. And I says, no, I got it from local businesses. And she says, how'd you get $500 from local business? I says, well, it's simple. I just walked in and says, I'm doing something for the kids at the school and you want to donate, don't you? And she goes, oh my God, you're not robbing that. I was like, no. I just talked to some friends. They happen to own businesses. They were willing to donate. Turns out I found a niche putting their logo on certain things, and trade for advertising. They're sponsoring it. It was a good fit. They wanted to sponsor the kids. They got their local businesses out there. It helped everybody in the community along with the schools and the kids. So it became a thing. So I eventually got into working with, went from PTO and nonprofits to help them with local nonprofits, things like, homeless shelters, animal programs, and who doesn't love animal programs? I mean, really, everybody has a dog or a cat or a squirrel or a hamster, an alligator, whatever is your thing. And, so who doesn't love a good good program to help out animals in the public in the community. So I got in working with some other things, and I personally have a service dog. Her name's Liza, the super dog. And, we got her trained with a group called Dogs and Tags, and that's where I really found out I could shine with fundraising.
Very nice.
So,
yeah, I mean, anytime you can give back, it really, people kind of rally behind a good cause, and
right.
it's a good way to get your name out there and get recognition. And usually, a lot of times, it's you don't have to throw down thousands of dollars to get your dollars to go far, as well as you got to be genuine as well, because you want businesses that are genuine, that are going to be part of these fundraising events, because there's glory hounds out there that are willing to throw down dollars, and they're just like, they give to every event whether they know what it's about or not. And
Right.
and so, if you're going to get involved in the community in any kind of event like that, you want to make sure that it's something that you believe in. Otherwise, it just becomes pretty fake. And I'm sure you probably ran across that in your doing.
Well, and you can't, for the lack of better words, you can't half-ass it. If you're going to go, you got to go full bore. You got to put it out there as hard and as fast as you can. And the key to doing any event, be it anything from a birthday to a fundraiser to an actual concert, anything, planning. You got to have your plan way ahead of the game. You got to have your contacts way ahead of the game. And if you're going to do this, you got to have your heart into it, because if you're not into it, you got to be able to do it on your day off when you don't want to. I mean, at your lowest of low, when you just wake up that morning, it's like, I don't want to hang posters, but I only got one direction to go, but I think I can take a day off. You can't. If you want to make it work, you got to go do it. And you got to put your left foot forward and just make it happen.
And so, and one of the things is like the last 6 weeks leading up to the event is like D-Day, right?
Oh man. The last week, it's like herding cats on fire.
Right.
It's like a circus full of clowns and no ringleader whatsoever. They're everywhere. You got people asking questions that they've already asked 100 times. People forgot questions that they've already asked 100 times. You got people that don't even know what the question is, but still want to ask questions that don't even pertain to the show. And it gets pretty crazy, but you just got to learn to be able to take command on some of that and kind of point them in the right direction. And, every good show needs a leader, but it also needs good followers.
Right.
And if you don't have a good team behind you, you can't put together a good show anyway. You can't run everything by yourself, even though, believe me, I try. I definitely try. You can't, especially the bigger the show gets, or the event or whatever it is you're planning. You've got to have good contacts. If your contacts are dropping the loop or not following through with what they say they're going to do, or something doesn't happen. Things happen though, and you got to have a backup plan. You always got to have that plan B. You got to have another way to spin your story or your line, and you got to have a spin to put on your story that makes people interested.
Nice. So kind of walk us through a typical. So if you're going to grab a hold of a brand new event, let's say I'm in real estate.
Right.
I want to run an event to donate towards like dogs and tags or something, and I'm going to start from scratch. So kind of walk us through that process on how I'm going to be like, hey, let's do an event. I'm going to figure it out, And so what are typically like good events to run? Does it have to require food or entertainment or both, or all these things? And then kind of run us through the whole gamut of like, I'm brand new and I'm going to start an event tomorrow.
Well, I'll tell you right now, like I said, planning is key. And if you can get 6 months in advance, you're doing great. If you got 3 months in advance, you're doing all right. You got a week in advance, it's not going to happen.
Right.
So you want to look at your basically, before you do any event, you got to set up some boundaries. You got to have your boundaries. So you got to have your location, somebody who's willing to sponsor it, some way to find a way for whatever you're funding to make profit, and something that people are going to be interested in. Also, you got to look at other things going on in your community. Don't forget about other community events, because if you pick a day to throw a barbecue event against the national park, cook-off, you're going to lose. It's like throwing a concert when there's already a concert.
Sure.
Then you're competing with yourself. It's just not going to happen. So always look at your calendars, look at your events, look at what's going on that weekend, look at what's going on that day. Make sure you plan to the weather, be it via summer or winter. Make sure your event is got a backup plan. So if you're going to be outside and you got bad weather, you got to be able to run inside or move everything in a moment's notice. Things happen. We can't predict the world, the weather, or any of that. So something to think about is, if you're going to start an event, say tomorrow, you want to have your location and your time. That's your first two things, time and place. So if you get your time and place set up, then you want to look at advertising. How are you going to get it to the people? If it's a nonprofit, the good thing is a lot of people will sponsor nonprofits. So you can get sponsors and add their logos to your posters, your flyers, your banners, your commercials, your podcast, to whatever you want to do as a sponsor to fund the printing, the dispersal, the food that you've got coming to the event. And keep in mind, people always love having food at an event. That will drag people in just in general. If you got anything that says free as well. Anything that says free. I got free pins. People showing up out of the woodworks. All of a sudden they're all riders. They got to have a pin. It all breaks down to whether, what type of event you want to run too. Is it animal awareness? Is it Kids for Cancer? Is it National Haircut Day? Is it, things like that. It's just, you got to pick your location per your event. So a basic event starts out with location. You get your sponsors. Say you get your sponsors set up, then you got to have your advertising set up. Get your dispersal on your flyers and your posters. Once you get your flyers and your posters out, then you set your verbal advertising and your video advertising. You get all that set up. Plus, you got to have your location, your times, your dates, any catering or any food you got to have pre-ordered or pre-set up. And
probably prepaid.
Where
too.
I find it's best to have help is volunteers and voluntold. Right. And by that, make sure that they understand there's a chief to the line of things. That way you don't have people trying to take over. Make sure that everyone's in order and they understand their job to a limit. That way you don't have 10 people trying to do the same thing.
Nice. And then
and the biggest key is communication. Communication is a monster. You got to make sure and get that communication across.
So what would you? So you've got kind of the logistics set up. Now you're getting the word out. So what is your recommendations for getting the word out to the community?
Well, again, that depends on what kind of show it is you're running and what kind of event you're looking at doing. So if you've got, say, for instance, like you said, you're going to do a dogs and tags cookout. All right. Just so happens I have one of those coming up. If you're going to get your word out, be it locally, just put up posters. Everybody looks for a poster. You got poster boards all over the place. I mean, every coffee house, every automotive store, every local Kiwanis club, or your basic, anywhere older people hang out, even the kids hang out. Sometimes you can disperse, and the greatest way anymore, we got a social media, man. Get that social media out there. Get the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, the Vimeo, YouTube, podcasts, however you want to put it out there. You get it out there as big and as much as possible, because the more you put it out there, the more people are going to hear about it. And it's not always that they hear about it, they're going to go, but maybe they're going to say to something else to somebody that has some interest in that field. They have a service dog, or they have a dog that they want to get rabies shots for and they can't afford it, they need help, they can file for a grant through whatever you're fundraising for or something like that. So it's word of mouth is always a good key. That's always been the best advertising. I mean, as far as time can never tell.
So really running a good show is picking a lane and staying there. And because
pretty much.
So you can get more word of mouth from the last time. And then the more shows you do, it gets bigger and bigger just because the popularity starts to grow from there.
Right. So you get stability each year with the growth of the show. And then there's other things too. Sometimes you might have to take your show and, like you said, stay in your lane. However, there are points where you might have to change your lane up and take a turn a little bit, you know, because people lose interest in the same old thing every time, year after year, even if it is a good cause or even if it is a good show. I mean, you wouldn't want to see ZZ Top every 6 months.
No, right?
So, yeah. So, you know, you'd have to bring in, you know, ZZ Top, then bring in Motley Crue, then bring in the next show or the next show or the next show. So you want to do, you know, animal awareness one year, then you want to do cancer awareness the next year. And then you want to do, you know, it always goes to a different cause because you get different crowds.
Sure.
But then something else too is you can always combine your crowds. So you can do an all-around nonprofit event, get all of them to show up, get all of them to do vendor booths, and then that way everybody condones from the show at one point. You know, and it's all about cross-promoting too. If you've got people that are willing to put your thing out, put theirs out too. Put that foot forward.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Then you're doubling down on efforts. Yeah, nice plug.
There you go, buddy. There you go.
Thanks. So how long have you been?
Hint, nudge, nudge.
How long you been doing this, John?
Man, I got to be going on like 8-10 years, and it'll make you gray haired real quick. I'm telling you, it'll make you stress out. You'll get frustrated with it. You'll find people you don't like, but you got to get over that. I mean, it's not the reason I do this is not for me or for popularity or for recognition. I do it for my community, and it really is for my community because I don't make a dime on any of this. And everything I do comes out of my own pocket. So all the running that I do beforehand, all the setup I do beforehand, it's all gratis. So I don't, I'm not looking for the face of the nation, so to speak. I'm just looking for everybody to come together as a community to help the community that they're in and understand that if they don't do that, their community is not going to back them when they need it.
Sure. No, I think that's fantastic. I mean, our world needs more people like you, man, that are just all in, regardless of the rewards through it. You know.
Well, and you can make it. You can make a job out of this. I mean, there's people out there that do promoting and that do marketing and that do all this stuff, but they don't do it for community. I mean, they do it for like big dollars. You know, great money. Like
no.
So, but I'm not. Say again.
Oh, it's like, yeah, totally. I mean, that's just, I mean, some people are just wired that way that it's like there has to be some sort of personal gain to, you know, for anything. So
right, and they're always looking for that niche too. I mean, to make up for that.
Nice. So for the folks of you that are listening that are wanting to learn more about how to run events, how can people get a hold of you out there?
They can check out my Facebook at Jon, Jon, Puls, Puls. I'm on Facebook, Jon_bearded_1 on Instagram. And you can find me at Twitter as well. And then I also have some videos on YouTube under Jon Puls. So you can check out some videos. Matter of fact, they can see the video of good old Mr. JP Fluellen here in Titan Real Estate, talking about the Sci-Fi Comic Expo we got coming up.
Awesome. And where can people plug into that event?
They can go to GoSciFiExpo.com, or they can go to Facebook and look up Sci-Fi Comic Expo.com. And that's Sci-Fi, CHEY-FY, Comic Expo.
So those of you that are like into superheroes and stuff, that's a great one, especially if you're in the Cheyenne area, or even if you're not. You know, we are a destination place after all. You know, people think that small town Cheyenne is not a place that you should get in a plane and fly 4 or 5 hours, but you definitely should because we've got plenty going on around here.
We've got lots of history, lots of stuff going on here. We got one of the oldest outdoor rodeos in the world. We've got history from the railroad. We've got history from the Great West. I mean, there's all kinds of things that you can see and learn here, and things going on here that most people don't even realize. You can learn so much from the history here. And tourist attraction wise, there's always something to do here, and it's kind of still got that small town mentality with a lot of people, which is nice. So it's friendly. It's not somewhere where you go and everyone's got their head down looking at the sidewalk. It's a little more upbeat. People are willing to give you directions and point you in the right way or show you their favorite coffee house.
Yeah, absolutely.
So come on down. Come on to Cheyenne. I mean, bring it. Come on out for the Sci-Fi Comic Expo. If you're in town on August 23rd, we've got a Red Shirt Friday steak fry at the Peppermill Bar on Dell Range, and that's for Dogs and Tags in Wyoming. You can get you a red shirt for Remember Every Deployed and support Dogs and Tags all at the same time.
Those shirts are pretty cool. They're in the vein of a lot of military swag out there. So it's
I got 2 or 3 of them, and if you get a chance, check it out. I mean, hey, we got Dogs and Tags. We'll get out here. You can get you a red shirt for $25. You can check out that red shirt. Get you a logo out here. Bam. Check that out. Dogs and Tags, Red Shirt Friday. Bam.
You need to get yourself one. All right, guys. Well, that's a wrap for this episode. Thanks for joining. I think John just dropped off or froze up.
Nope, you're good. I'm still here.
Oh, I see. Your video just froze. But yeah, if you guys want to just reach out, send him an email, send him a direct message on Facebook. John's always very quick to respond. That guy's a workhorse, and he gives everything back to the community of Cheyenne. So we appreciate that. We also want you guys to give us a 5-star review. Go on to iTunes or Stitcher or Spotify and subscribe and give us a review. That helps us with our rankings. And as well as if you guys want to reach out to me, james.fluellen@gmail.com. You can call me anytime, 307-772-1184 for a free 30-minute coaching call. You guys can also check out my book on Amazon called The Real Estate Brain: 7 Hacks on How to Buy a Home Like a Pro. And again, we really appreciate it. And thank you guys. And and if you also are thinking about wanting to join a real estate team out there, you could check out TitanREteam.com or WyomingRealEstateCareers.com. And there's more information about joining our team with eXp Realty. So thanks again. Appreciate you guys. And we will catch you on the next one. Peace.
Have a good night.